Chris Demm has called this man the most annoying man in Virginia. It's a long story, but there's a guy named Nicholas Olenek. Lisa Lanier can comment on this on Friday. He has won a legal battle. He had us an emotional support emu.
Is this a cartoon?
God.
Right.
Is this a cartoon show?
This is
Or an insurance pitch.
Yeah.
Limu emu.
No, he's 41 years old, and he says that he has long suffered from anxiety, all sorts of issues. He has a psychotherapist, and he had read a story about someone who had PTSD and was gifted an emu. And he said, well, I think I'll try that for myself. So he got an emu egg, which hatched at his home in suburban Virginia, in suburban Richmond, Virginia.
Oh.
That's Chris Dim's hometown.
That's where I grew up.
All right, it's on the outskirts of Richmond, Virginia. And he was keeping the emu as an emotional support animal and pet. And indeed, it grew up very quickly and was able to use the doggy door to go in and out of the house.
But they're enormous birds, right?
That's the thing. The American Emu Society weighed in.
Oh, well, you wake them up.
Okay.
You got trouble, brother.
The AES is on the phone.
A neighbor complained because the emu was making all sorts of noise.
They make
wrong,
noise?
Okay.
If you're in the wrong suburb, they'll shoot it.
Right.
Suburb of Richmond.
Right. A neighbor complained and said, this is a real issue here. We got an
It's a
emu.
wild bird.
Okay, it's a wild bird. The Emu Association said you really should not have an emu as a pet. First of all, they defend themselves with their talons, and they can slice you open.
Talons?
Apparently, they
Sharp
are
talons.
very sharp talons that can honestly rip you open. I mean, it can really cut you badly. And Kamara Longhorn, who is the president of the American Emu Association.
What kind of car does she get to drive? Does it have lights on it? Like the Ghostbusters ambulance. What is it? What kind of noise does the emu make that is so loud and the neighbors don't like it?
Well, that's a good question. But it was in and out of the yard, and it was making noise, and the neighbors feared for their pets and their small children.
Mm-hmm,
And they were like, we got a big bird over here. The president of the American Emu Association said, emu makes a horrible pet. You absolutely should not have it. However, this guy, Nicholas Olenek, says it lessened my anxiety like you wouldn't believe. And it was so domesticated, we treated it like our other pets. They have dogs and cats too. So the whole thing was going to go to court, and we have the outcome for you. It has been decided upon. Paula knows about the emu and the guy who had the emu. Go ahead.
He is a weirdo.
Okay.
How do you know him?
He is my son's friend,
Okay.
and he and his wife both are strange as all get out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's running for office. Something.
Well, that's the thing. He dealt with this issue.
All views expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of this radio station or its parent company.
Or the American Emu Society.
Paula says he's a weirdo. That's Paula's
Well, that's
opinion.
Paula. That's
Paula's
Paula.
opinion. Her
Paula's
words, not
words.
ours. That's right. That's right. What other things has he done to make you think he's a weirdo?
Some of the things I can't say.
Yeah.
They have.
All right. Okay.
You're in a minefield, Kelly.
Terrible question. Terrible question. He's done some things you can't say that make him a weirdo. But your son is friends with him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's Nicholas Olenek of Virginia, who had a pet emu. Well, I say had because what happened was eventually it went to court, and the judge had to decide, do his emotional feelings, and the fact that he says it really lessened my anxiety. My emu would notice me being down and just come snuggle with me.
Why do we normalize this?
Olenek was violating city code by having the emu, so a judge fined him $50, but
That'll learn him.
he took it all the way to court and says, I should be allowed to keep this emu because of it really is, I keep him, the emu, in a proper, safe environment. They can weigh, by the way, up to 100 pounds and get to 6 feet tall, and they can run more than 30 miles per hour. So they're
enormous.
They are dangerous birds, exactly. But the judge, after a year, ruled in his favor and said since the bird had hatched from the egg in his care, it could be in a very controversial decision kept by the owner, who is Olenek.
I don't like that.
He went all the way to the highest court in Virginia, and they said that he could keep the emu. But here's what happened. During the whole trial and everything, the emu had to be removed from the home during the trial, went to stay at an animal sanctuary, and met a male emu named Oreo. And the two hit it off so much that this guy said, "All right, just keep my female Oreo." So my female.
Don't
emu.
look back.
So they're no longer.
What was his emu's name?
Nimbus.
Nimbus.
Nimbus and Oreo are together now. And Olenek said, "I don't want to separate these two," so he let her stay. He does plan, however, to get another egg and hatch one this winter.
Yeah. See, they shouldn't allow that.
Right. That's
The first time, okay, we let you have it. This
Right.
time, now you're doing it it's malicious.
This time around, you can't do it. I agree with you on that.
Do we know what office he's running
Well,
for?
Paula said that. He's running as an independent for the Virginia House of Delegates 96th District because the entire process of doing this with the emu taught him one thing. Our government is in gridlock and doesn't work, and he wants to be a part of the solution. So this man is running for that. He said, "I asked every single politician in my area for help with this emu, and they all laughed at me."
Not just the politicians.
Some call me weirdo.
Paula? Politician.
Paula led the pack in calling him a weirdo, and that's why he said, "My message to the voters is I will fight for you no matter what your cause."
Even you, Paula.
You don't think Richmond will want him, Demm?
I pray they come to their senses.
My goodness. Okay, so that's the story. So the three good stories today were hugging record, hugging stops robbery, and man keeps emu.
Not with an emu.
In the good, the bad, the ugly. Now, the bad story is really bad. It was from the White Sox game the other night. A woman snuck a gun into the White Sox game. Did you see about this? This is a big story now.
I'm hearing more about it. Apparently, it was no ordinary White Sox game.
That's right. A woman went to a Chicago White Sox game, and actually someone was shot in the game.
Correct.
Oof. And there were witnesses who saw this. The way she got the gun into the baseball stadium was she hid it in her belly fat.
Because if you go to tons of games, they'll wand you.
Yes. That's the thing.
And you would think in Chicago,
right,
you will get wanded.
Well, yeah, this is in Chicago, and she was wanded. That's the whole thing. She went to the game on Friday. Chicago police didn't think the gunfire came from inside the stadium at first, and then they figured it out. They didn't realize how could someone get a gun into the stadium because they do wand you. She's 42 years old, a 42-year-old woman got shot in the leg. A 26-year-old woman a few seats away got grazed in the stomach, and a 31-year-old woman got nicked in the back. So 3 people got shot.
All female?
All female, exactly. And the woman who brought the gun in, here's a couple of witnesses, said she brought it in her belly fat.
It happened just 2 rows in front of me, and there was no one right in front of us. All of a sudden, this lady just started bleeding from her leg, and there was at least 2 of them in a row that got hit, maybe a third. I know 2 for sure. And it was bleeding, and all of a sudden security was there, and they kicked us out.
Apparently, when she went through with the gun in her fat rolls, the metal detector did go off, but the woman said, "I'm all right," and walked on through.
She can't have anything
said,
there.
"I'm all right."
She said, "I'm all right," and walked on through.
They let her go.
They just let her go. Yeah, she
Ooh,
did.
That's bad.
The metal detectors did go off, and now they're looking into.
Well, they can't open up your belly fat.
They could pull you aside and pat you down.
Yeah, but they can't open up your fat rolls.
Yeah, I mean, they could have grazed over it.
I mean, even if they pat you down, they're not going to find it.
Yeah.
Does your belly fat act as a silencer?
Maybe that's why they thought the shots were coming from outside the stadium, because it was in her belly fat.
Well, everybody's body's different.
That's right.
Biggie's right.
Let's celebrate that.
I don't know, to have that much skin, because I have a big belly, but I don't have rolls.
Roll
I can
upon
tuck
roll.
things. Yeah. So maybe in her case she does.
Yeah, you're one big sag.
It's a real conundrum on exactly what happened here. Because they're saying now that maybe the gun was in her pocket by the time she sat down and she jostled in her seat and it was an
So
accident.
there's not a targeted
It's
shooting.
an accidental shooting.
And it dropped onto the
yeah.
concrete floor.
Yeah,
underneath
just
her.
down the
It's an
line.
accidental shooting. Here's another witness.
You had to walk through all the metal detectors. They were going off for people's watches and stuff, and then they do a double check and stuff. So I don't know how somebody got in there like that. We kind of felt like it was BS at first, but I mean, I don't know why they would say that if it didn't happen.
BSFers. Is that
No,
what she-
BS at first.
Oh, BS at first. I thought she said it was BSFers. I didn't know what that meant.
No.
Okay, BS.
I think
at
she
first.
meant BS
Yeah,
at first.
I get it.
So if they hear something with the wand, they'd pull you aside. Can they pat you down? Can those people? I mean, those are just guys and gals running wand.
I think they should
Yeah,
be allowed.
they're not TSA.
Yeah,
though.
they're not.
I-
They're not
I-
cops.
I do think they should be allowed to pat you down. Don't you think?
But those things, a lot.
But it's in her fat rolls.
But,
it's in her.
but you're not going to be able to put hands in her fat rolls. You know what I'm saying?
That's invasive.
Yeah, you can't go into
Maybe, but
you can't go into cavities.
you can go into
You
cavities.
can at a White Sox.
Well, then she can't come in.
Well, that's not a cavity. I don't think that's a cavity.
Well,
That's,
what is it?
You can stretch it out. I mean, a cavity's like your regular.
anatomy.
You stretch it out.
I mean,
I think they wand over it, take their hand,
Yeah.
roll, like take their hand down. You don't feel anything. You're like, all right, go.
I guess you got a metal plate in
Yeah.
her gut. I don't know.
man.
But what if they do it way down at your crotch and a woo 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 down there? It might be
Oh, you can't reach in there. Now.
In.
You can't do that.
well.
You can't go up there.
That's one way to get a little.
Oh.
What do they call those little guns? The little lady fingers.
Look, I don't blame her for
Derringer?
bringing a gun either.
Into the White Sox game.
Yeah.
Well, your sister works in Florida, and they say check her Pinellas pouch. This would be up in the Cook cavity, I guess. That's right. Up in Cook County.
Volusia. the Volusia vagina.
It's upper Volusia.
You check her Volusia.
Just gonna say this: everyone that's shocked and outraged by this is people outside of Chicago. If you've been to
They're
a
all
game,
fine with it.
guarantee
They're
rate
fine with
field,
it.
you
Or just
know.
into town.
Melissa, you have a comment on the woman sneaking a gun into the White Sox game in her fat rolls. Go ahead.
Yes, this is P1 Melissa. So I'm a nurse practitioner. I've had a lot of students over the years and lots of stories. One student worked in an ICU, and when they were giving a woman her first bath, they found Snickers bars hidden in her fat roll. It took a while to figure out what they were because the wrappers had started to disintegrate. They finally figured out that she had 2 or 3 Snickers bars tucked up under there for later.
Oh.
Had the poor thing forgotten they were there?
Well, she had a stroke, and so who knows what the situation
my
was.
God.
It's not conscious.
Wake up call.
That's one of the saddest things I've ever heard.
Light bulb moment,
But
right?
they do really satisfy.
They do, and
Yeah.
you keep them there for later. You know.
Yeah, yeah. The new Dave's right. And sometimes you eat half and save half.
Save half for later.
You can twist the wrapper.
Man,
Speaking of rappers, I think because of the shooting,
it's a fact. I know what you're going to say.
a famous rapper was unable to perform.
Two bad pieces of news for the White Sox. They lost the game to the A's 12-4, and the Vanilla Ice show after the game was canceled.
That's Biggie's friend, isn't it?
Precautionary reasons.
Y'all just go on home.
Yeah, it's fat roll
There'll be
lady.
no Vanilla Ice show tonight.
Some fat woman with a gun in her foot.
Randy, you're talking about the what to do now with the what happens when a woman takes a gun into the game. Go ahead.
Okay, usually what happens is if we get an alarm on either the wand or any other machine that you're going through, that alarm has to be resolved is the way that works. Now, we can't necessarily reach into places, but that person is going to have to come out with whatever's alarming, or at least at the airport, they will not be able to proceed unless we resolve that alarm.
Okay, so you know this. You work at. I think that's correct.
Well, they have private search areas at airports.
But now at the White Sox game, it could be. Do you think it could? Are you allowed to reach into a fat roll?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were right about that.
But you can ask a citizen or a potential flyer, lift your fat roll.
Right. Well, what we do is we pat them down just on the outside,
Yep.
and then if we still have that alarm, then we tell them you either remove what you have.
Yep.
If we need to go to private screening, we can do that, but we have to have that alarm cleared before you can proceed.
Got to resolve it. I think that should be the policy at the White Sox games.
Well, TSA airport and
White Sox.
yellow,
games.
but
yellow
different. They're
windbreaker.
They're
Yeah, but
different.
they do that at high school football games.
Yep.
They want everybody. They're not going to search fat rolls at high school
No, they
football
won't.
games.
No, you're right.
What do we do?
Well, we don't
Get
get
slimmer.
thin down. That's what we have to do.
Quit putting Snickers in there.
It costs.
Or maybe no one would have got shot by secondhand Snickers.
Right. Snickers wouldn't trip the alarm.
Yeah. Well, if she'd have secured her fat a little better, the gun wouldn't have fell out.
Awful story.
Maybe she needs to be fatter.
The real loser here are the 3 people that got shot and Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice himself.
Yeah.